Thank you for staying with us. Our next guest is joining me in studio, and we're talking about From Termination to Triumph. We have with us Charlene Pedro, who's the founder and chief engineering officer of Conventus Consultinc. Welcome, Charlene.
Good morning, Dominique. So happy to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you here with us.
It's great to get up early and to get here for 6.
Yes,
but
it
thank
is.
you
It
so
is,
much.
it is.
Thank you so much.
So we have a lot to talk about today.
A lot.
A lot. Firstly, congratulations on your Woman of Influence Award by Affect.
Thank you so much. Caught me by surprise.
Listen,
Thank you so much.
that is amazing. You've been doing some amazing work, and we want our viewers to know about that amazing work. So tell us about the award. And you knew you were getting the award. It was a complete surprise. What happened with that?
Well, Affect gives annually. They have their Woman of Influence event and mentorship event. And they usually will bestow 5 awards in different categories. And I got this call. I got this call that I won the Spirit of Affect Award. And of course, I was speechless.
Right.
I mean, I've been in Affect for so many years. I serve as director of social outreach. I serve as president. So I'm usually at the other end, the other side of the table making the decisions. So it really caught me by surprise. But I must say it is a blessing and an honor to be recognized.
Yes.
We all, no matter what work we do, as human beings, it feels good to be recognized.
Yes. What does that award mean for you? Because it's the Woman of Influence Award. So tell us what that means for you.
Yes, so it's the Woman of Influence Spirit of Affect Award. And it's really bestowed upon, I would like to say, young women, you know.
Very much so.
Who embodies the spirit of affect, represents affect, is an ambassador for affect. So for me, it really tells me that I'm on the right path.
Right.
It is like qualification.
Yes.
It is like, yes, Charlene, those hours that you spend, those times you've been on the bus with Affect crew, doing their social outreach mentorship programs, going down south. I don't even know where we went right now. Right. You know, those early mornings, preparing for those sessions, engaging the young ladies, and still having fun.
Yes.
You know, it just told me all those hours were worth it.
Let's talk about that path a bit, because we're talking about from termination to triumph. Talk to us about that journey, and I know it's a lengthy journey, but talk to us about it in a nutshell.
Yeah. So it's a 10-year plus journey, decade plus journey. So some years ago, I like to tell people, in another galaxy far away, I was a manager, HR manager in an organization, and I was terminated from that organization. Now, you know, somebody spoke about me about hurt, and there was no hurt. It was time for me to move on, so I took it as an opportunity. And I must say the employees, the team, they are fantastic individuals and teams, so we still connect and we still chat.
Right.
Yeah. But it was, I must admit, it was a difficult time in my career. It was a time that tested my faith, and it was also a time that strengthened my faith. Because without it, there was a moment where I was busy signing up for recruitment agencies because I did know it was coming. And, you know, without success. And I felt, what's my next step? And so it was a lot of mental anguish. And there was a time I just said a morning, Charlene, stop. Charlene, stop. You've had enough. And when we speak about letting go and let God, I'm your poster girl, right? I'm your poster girl.
Now, we know that's not easy. That's easier said than done.
It's not easy. But when you are painted in a corner and there's nowhere to go but to go to God.
Yes.
So I literally let go and let God. And I remember writing on my whiteboard, no weapon formed before me shall prosper. And I live that mantra every single day. I'll go in my office and I'll say my prayers before I start my work day. And I would live that mantra every day. And if I fast forward now, you know, as I left that organization, I got a call that someone needed an HR consultant. And I said, well, I'm not busy, so yeah. And I went to that meeting the following Tuesday, and that client was my first client. And that client is my most loyal client and remains with me up to today.
Wow.
Yeah. And I started doing HR consultancy, then that evolved into adding corporate training to the list, which is in high demand now. And then COVID hit.
Yes.
And during COVID, I was very, we were all in a dark place. We were all in this dark place. You remember what you used to do at 10 a.m.? I'll be the interviewer now. Do you remember what you used to do at 10 a.m. every morning during COVID when it just started?
Listen.
The Ministry of Health updates.
Yes.
And we were all glued to our tables
Yes.
and to our TVs. And my mind started to spiral in this abyss.
Yes.
And I said, Charlene, if you are the eternal optimist and you're feeling like this, could you imagine others? And I decided to do a series of programs, online free programs. We looked at growth mindset, goal setting, branding, self-leadership, just to shift people's mind from that darkness.
Yes.
And amazingly, after that, some ladies reached out to me and said, Charlene, I want to continue working with you. And that is where Mastery of Me was born. And that was in 2020, just after the pandemic hit. And we just finished our 5th cohort, and we have 30, they call themselves tribes women.
Okay.
Of the tribe, the Mastery of Me tribe. And it has evolved into a fantastic, supportive, loving. This is where women say, I love you.
Right.
Yeah. This is where women say, how could I help you? I know someone who can help you. This is where women use their skills to help each other. We have a real estate agent who will help the attorney get a new location for her business. So it has really opened my eyes to the power of sisterhood.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is really a perfect example of women supporting women, Mastery of Me. It has blown my mind.
There are so many gems that you shared just now. Being able to stay the course, even though you weren't sure of what the next step would be, but understanding that you need to change your mindset, think positive about yourself and about your goals and what you can do. And now you have moved into a space where you help so many women. Talk to us about that mentorship and the act of giving back and how important that is for you.
For me, giving back is part of my DNA. Yes. I remember as a child, my mother stirred a big pot of pilau on the stove and packing the pilau in boxes with salads. And then we will pack it in the car and go to Port of Spain, opposite the cathedral, the Roman Catholic Cathedral, and we will distribute food into and I would not call them vagrants, to the street dwellers, to the people living on the street. And we will distribute that, and it just be fun times, because when you run out, you will run to the car, thinking that it will run you down. It's all part of the fun experience as a child, And for me, it's important that we give back. We cannot be taking up space in this earth. We cannot be living comfortably with breakfast, clothes on our backs, going to work and not giving back. We just cannot. So, to say giving back, it's like the rent you pay for your space on this rock. So for me, and even as I tell my daughters, we must. It's not optional. We must give back. Yeah.
Now your mantra is about trusting the process.
Absolutely.
Just break that down for us.
And that mantra came from my termination, as you said, that one step in front of the other. I mean, imagine being terminated from your job and not knowing what your next step is.
Yes.
You still have bills to pay, yeah? And I never knew what was happening around the corner, but yet still, it was just taken one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, and trusting the process. And sometimes for us, the process may be long.
Yes.
And the process may be difficult, because, I could sit here and look nice this morning, but there were days I didn't have money in my purse to pay for the car park. Yeah. But it's having that faith, and I always say that my God never failed me.
Yes.
He always had my back, and that allowed me to trust the process. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you see. Things may seem dim.
Yes.
But you don't know the bright light that is around the corner. So for me, and I will encourage individuals, if you're in that dark space and place, just trust the process. Keep the faith. One foot in front of the other. There's a light at the end. There's a light around the corner.
Yes.
But trust the process, keep the faith, and the last part of that is do the work.
Do the work.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that part.
Yeah, do the work.
Yes.
So we can't trust the process, have faith and pray, and we lie down on our beds. Yeah. We set goals for ourselves, and we look for the work that taps us up, that will fill our cup, that will make us feel that we're really contributing.
Yes.
And when we find our niche, when we find our gifts, because I believe that we all, as you sit here, Dominique, and I watch you waiting, and I said, wow, because I remember in our days we would have met when I would go in on stage, and I said, look at that evolution and that journey. So when we trust the process and we keep the faith, we have to remember also we must do the work. And our work becomes a work of faith. And our work allows us to experience and unearth, and I never use the word discover, but to unearth our gifts.
Like that word, yes.
Because it's buried there over all the years.
It's already there.
It's already there, and sometimes we're socialized, and the things people tell us, and we use that as our self-conversation, and then we tell ourselves we don't have a gift, we don't have the skill, we're not enough.
Yes.
But if we can push all of that aside, and if we can zero in on ourselves, it's so important that we press pause. We live busy lives. We're in the hamster wheel. We get up early in mornings.
Yes.
I mean, if I ask you what time you got up this morning. We get up early in mornings, we get to work, and when we get home, we start the second job, whether it's the children or the house, especially women. And we live in this cycle, and we don't press pause. We don't take time for ourselves as women. And, if we do, I challenge people to press pause and take time for yourself.
Yes.
If we have more self-conversations, if we tune in more, you find we'll be able to unearth our gifts.
Yes.
And we'll be able to live in our gift and share that gift. Because when we have our gifts are not for ourselves.
Correct.
I could tell you, Dominique, when, my story of being terminated and to where I am, it was years before I shared that story. Because when I asked myself, Charlene, why, my heart will go racing.
Yes.
And I can confess now to the whole world that I was ashamed.
Okay.
I felt ashamed after, being with the company for 11 years, being terminated. It seemed as if I did something wrong. Yeah. And the history will say that I didn't. And I also didn't want, people to look bad. Because I tell people, I'm a good girl. My mother raised me right, in the church and whatnot. So I didn't want people to look bad. So I refrained. I kept it inside. And there was a program I was invited to speak on, and I used the opportunity to share that story. And the feedback and the woman reaching out after, and somebody even cried, reaching out after, and I said, Charlene, you've been a bit selfish. This story really is a gift to others. And what do you do with a gift? You give it away. You share it.
Yeah.
And that probably was 2 years I was junior. So that may have been 2 years ago. So it's only now that I have freed myself of this seemingly shame that I was terminated to share my story, because I know in sharing my story is an opportunity to connect with women. It's an opportunity to lift women, and not just women. I've had men reach out to me on LinkedIn when I share my story, and never met the person before, and have deep conversations about them feeling the same way and feeling hurt, and how it's time for them to release, so that they can move on. So it's been quite a journey. It's been a challenging journey. It's also been an enriching journey where I could now say I am living my vocation.
How can persons get on to you if they want to speak to you, they want to be a part of this program, they want to find out more, they're listening and they realize there are some things that touched them?
Dominique, it's strange that you said that, because I'm on LinkedIn most of the time, and up to this week through LinkedIn, about 3 persons messaged me based on my post, and they wanted a chat. I give them my telephone number, and we hop on a call. And that's what it's like for me. So, feel free to look at my social media pages. I'm on Facebook, mainly on LinkedIn every day, and just message me and connect with me. I also have my website, charlenepedro.com, where it's really the home for mastery of me. And that's where we have our program, where I sell the program on that website, and there's a contact form, so people also contact me through my website. So now my journey is an open book. So if anybody just wants to chat, just want to bounce ideas, want a mentor. Yesterday I had a conversation with someone experience, senior manager, but she thinks she's in the wrong organization.
Okay.
Yeah, and she may want to shift her focus of her career. And sometimes, sometimes we equate our value and we equate our worth with our job title.
Yes.
And we have to be cautious of that, because if that's taken from us, we feel the whole world, the rug is pulled from under our feet. So we have to be very cautious. Up till last evening, I just posted two sentences, that you are not your job title. You are so much more.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that, because we get so wrapped up in what we possess.
Yeah.
So I am ... I own this. But you had an experience where you had to build your self-esteem, build your character, not with nothing, not with the position or anything like that. And I know that would not have been easy. But can you give us some steps as to how you were able to do that? For persons who need to find themselves, but not with all the attachments, just find you at the core of you.
Yeah. And as when all those things are stripped away from us,
Yes.
we have no choice but to go within.
Yes.
So that you find that time, go within. For me, it was a lot of prayer. Well, talk about prayer.
Yeah.
And that combination, that marriage of finding yourself and having those conversations, so what I call self-conversations,
Yes.
which I always say is the most important conversation you'll have in your life, besides the one with God.
Yes.
So that's number 2. So the human conversation, that self-conversation, getting to know yourself. What do you want? What it is that you've been placed on this earth for.
Your purpose,
It's so much bigger than you. We are born for so much more. We're not just born to pay bills and die.
Yes.
We are born for so much more. Not necessarily grander, because it could be something simple, but definitely more. And if someone is in a space and they're not sure, what to do, where to go, I will always say press pause. Press pause. Grab a pen, paper, sit down on Sunday afternoon with yourself, and just ask yourself, what do you want for yourself? In Mastery of Me, we have this exercise. We have so many exercises.
Yes.
But there's this powerful, deep exercise we do called the 5th why.
Okay.
Yeah? Where I go through with the girls, and yes, I call them girls.
Yes.
And, you just ask yourself why. So you want to achieve this goal. Why? And you keep asking why, and you keep answering until you really get to the core. You really feel it in your gut why you want to do this.
I love that exercise.
Yeah, and I said I've had people cry within, when we're doing it, because for some people it's their parents. They want to make their parents proud as adults, and sometimes our parents are not here with us anymore, but we still want to make them proud. For some people, they want to pass on the legacy to their children.
Yes.
So when we find that 5th why, we feel it in our core, in our soul, and then we are inspired to go after that goal. So I would say sit with yourself, ask yourself the why questions, define a goal for yourself, and then do an action plan. And part of that defining that goal is to tap into what do you feel is your gift.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be something grand. I always tell people it's what, and sometimes people tell us, but we're not paying attention.
That happens.
Sometimes people tell us, but we're not. I could tell you I'm the last of 6, and my sisters will come to me for advice.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It's a strange thing, but then it tells me that that's my gift. Years ago, I did a supervisory training program, and during the session, some supervisors need to release. We can't receive if we're holding on.
Yes.
Yeah. So they needed to release some hurts, and in that session, people cried, people hugged, and people were able to release so that they can grow and receive what we have to share. Yes. And Dominic, I could tell you, my colleague and I, we were standing at the door. There was a line of 25 persons going through that door, and they were waiting for a hug.
Wow.
And that, for me, signaled for me, Charlene, that's your gift.
I mean, hearing your testimony and seeing the work that you do and you continue to do, especially when you said on LinkedIn. Every time you go on LinkedIn, you can see some sort of encouragement, some sort of question that triggers you to think. And, we appreciate you for that. Do you feel that it's worth it? Looking back at what happened with the termination, not to dwell there, but do you see, that it was worth it?
Absolutely, Dominique. I mean, I will have it no other way. You know, if I was not terminated, I'll probably still be there at the organization.
Right.
If I was not terminated, I would not have the opportunity to speak with you this morning.
Yes.
Hey, you wouldn't come in for me, you know. And I would not have had the opportunity to live in my vocation. I would not have had the opportunity to meet such beautiful women.
Yes.
I would not have had the opportunity to touch such souls and to make such an impact. My life is so much richer and fuller now than when I was sitting down behind a desk. I want to say pushing paper, I was doing work, but the work was not deep work.
Yes.
The work did not change lives. As you know, my tribeswoman will tell me, Charlene, you don't know what you're doing with this program. And not that I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know the impact.
Impact, yes.
So that for some switched jobs, some started their own business that they had turning in their head for years, and they started their own business. Some build their confidence and no longer when they're in a meeting, not speaking up because of the fear. So now they're empowered and they feel confident to speak up. Some grow their business because they were afraid to show up on LinkedIn, and they started to show up on LinkedIn and the business grew.
Yeah.
So when I hear those stories from our tribeswomen, all I could say is thank you, Lord, for the blessing. Thank you, Lord. And I said, thank you to the folks who terminated me. I thank them. I thank them for leading me to my vocation.
Yes.
And I thank them for giving me the opportunity for a blessing.
Charlene, such a wonderful conversation with you this morning. Just give our viewers your website information again so they can check out the program and everything else you have going on there.
Sure. So it's easy, charlenepedro.com.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the home of mastery of me. And if you're into social media, and I could say I was not into social media before, I didn't like it.
You pivot, yes.
But I pivot
Yes.
because of business, and then I see the power of connecting with people, although you have never met them face to face. So if you want to connect with me and have a conversation just on LinkedIn or my website, do the contact form on the website or message me on LinkedIn, and we could hop on a call. It is as simple as that.
Thank you, Charlene. We appreciate you, all that you're doing with your business, with the program. Continue to be awesome.
Thank you very much, and what a blessing what you're doing also,
you.
so thank you so much.
No problem. We take a short break. When we come back on the other side of news, we have so much more in store for you. Stay with us.